All right, everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. I got to play the Blues Brothers. I mean, you cannot go wrong with the Blues Brothers, especially after a Sunday of total domination. I don't care what the final score was. That was total domination for 6 minutes into the fourth quarter, 8 minutes into the fourth quarter. If you hold a NFL offense to 83 yards total offense in the first half, 2 yards total offense in the third quarter, that's domination. There's no other way to put it. So I'm excited. I did not expect that at all. I expected another 10 to 12 kind of game. The blocked, and I'm sure Sean's going to call any second now, but the blocked punt for a safety. I said, well, that's 2 of the 10 points we'll get today because I really thought the Bears defense was going to give the Saints offense a lot of trouble. But kudos go to that offensive line, the game plan, incredible protection for Teddy Bridgewater to do what he needed to do. And lo and behold, no Alvin Kamara. What do we have? We get a great performance out of Latavius Murray. A very Mark Ingram-like performance. He was asked to step up, and he did. And can we say one thing about Michael Thomas? You only have one receiving weapon on the field. Legitimate receiving weapon. I mean, I know you have Ted Ginn, you have other players out there, but Michael Thomas is the guy Bridgewater's going to. They don't hold him to say what I expected, 6 catches, 50-something yards, 60-something yards. No, he gets 9 catches for over 100 yards. Just amazing. The production the offense was able to get, and just how well can we say this defense has played for the past 6 weeks. You saw what I felt was the first indications of how good this defense could be in the first half of the Rams game, even after Drew was hurt, holding the Rams offense to 6 points. But as that game kind of unfolded and the uncertainty, is Drew coming back in? Is he not? What's going to happen? How we're going to respond to this? Teddy Bridgewater kind of thrown into the mix like this, not quite sure what he's going to do. Not really. I don't want to say he wasn't prepared because he's always prepared. But the game, hey, Calvin, how are you? The game itself wasn't, the game plan wasn't designed for Teddy Bridgewater in that Rams game. So you kind of got the feeling that, okay, this defense bent, but then eventually broke with the Rams scoring as many points as they did. But from that point on, we have seen week after week after week dominant performance by that defense. We've seen an offensive line from that Rams game on clean up the penalties, stop with the dumb mistakes, and just play better and better each week. That reminds me, I've got something here. What's this, Sean? What did you just text me? Hang on here, let me see. B1 sec. All right. I have a new theme for a certain member of this offensive line. Ryan Ramczyk. This man, I think, should be renamed the Terminator, because I don't care who you put him up against. Khalil Mack, Jadeveon Clowney, J.J. Watt. The man just terminates that other player. You simply are not going to get any production. And I'm not talking about the helping him out, the giving him chip blocks. There were times in Sunday's game where I saw Ramczyk one-on-one with Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack couldn't do anything. And we see it over and over again. Okay, enough of that. Yeah, I just need to play that beginning there because he is the Terminator. He is eliminating players on the other side of the field. And this is probably one of the best offensive linemen. Ah, there he is. Hello, Sean.
What was so hard to understand about B1C?
I was waiting for you to come in. I'm kind of bullshitting around. I don't know if you heard me. I just played the Terminator theme song because that is now my nickname for Ryan Ramczyk. Because I don't care.
Bob's tweet.
Wait, what? You what?
You saw Bob's tweet, didn't you?
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. What did it say? Remind me.
I don't remember verbatim, but it was something along the lines of Ryan Ramczyk gets home and checks his pockets, keys, cell phone, Khalil Mack.
I tell you what. Yeah, I've seen another. There's another tweet, calling it checking somebody, and it's abbreviation Ryan Ramczyk. CZYK. You're gonna get checked today because yeah, he is. He's probably one of the best tackles in the league. Probably one of the best tackles we've drafted in the first round since William Rofe. It's sheer domination. I just cannot say enough about what a job he is doing. And
I was sitting here watching this game as it unfolded Sunday, and I was speechless. I think you could probably get very little argument out of the fact that Khalil Mack is probably the preeminent pass rusher in the league right now,
mm-hmm.
and he was erased.
Absolutely.
I don't even remember him getting a tackle.
He had gotten 8 tackles. I had to look it up to make sure, but they were all downfield. He got zero pressure on Bridgewater, and you saw what was it when they rushed 3? Bridgewater checked to his right, his left, his right again, down the middle, and then ended up going right back to his left to Murray, who was standing there by himself. The fans were getting antsy. It was amazing what we saw out there. That's why we texted back and forth, I said it's just sheer domination by the offensive and defensive lines. You compare what the kind of protection that Bridgewater was enjoying versus the protection that Trubisky was not enjoying.
Well, I think it's worth noting that, at least on the outside looking in, how it appeared was that the Chicago Bears saw the state that the Saints were in, down so many starters and what have you, and they needed to turn around the narrative around their team over the past several weeks, and they saw the opportunity to throw Trubisky back in there and make a good showing against a limited team, which, that's all part of it. But Trubisky was not ready. He showed absolutely no signs whatsoever of being prepared for that.
Right. I agree with that.
His arm or shoulder or whatever it wasn't right. He was overshooting. He was undershooting. His chemistry with those players that I saw at the beginning of the season just was not there at all.
But here's the interesting thing. Okay, so Trubisky can't throw the ball. But why didn't the Bears run? The Bears ran the ball, I think, 7 times for 17 yards. And the game was never really out of reach until late in the third quarter. They had opportunities to run the football. On 3rd and 2, he went for a shot play instead of trying to instead of trying to run for a first down or, quick little slant or something like that. They just abandoned the run against the Saints. It was like, we're not going to get anything going anyway, so we might as well air it out. The game plan was bizarre.
I was absolutely speechless. I had a conversation in here Sunday morning before I left work with some of my coworkers, one of which is an Atlanta Falcons fan. And
I'm sorry.
yeah,
He must
he's
be a
not right.
masochist.
I worry about him a lot. But they said, "Well, what do you think going to happen today?" I said, "Well, my expectations for this game aren't real high. We're down uh, five major contributors, if not starters, and the Bears are a really good team. Now, exactly where that really good Bears team was, I do not know, because they certainly weren't out there on the field Sunday."
It was weird because I felt against the Seahawks, the Seahawks just simply were not prepared like you would think they'd be prepared to play the Saints and Drew Brees. I think they kind of took the Saints for granted. Hey, they don't have Drew Brees. Look at how they looked against the Rams. This should be a pretty easy win. We'll just do our basic stuff and we should win this game. And the comments by Pete Carroll after the game, I didn't realize Kamara was as good as he was, and people, and those kind of comments, people were like, are you serious? And they kind of blamed Carroll for not having the players really ready for that kind of game. So, okay.
Well, it's just like you said at the time. They took the Saints lightly and didn't prepare, and
yeah,
were absolutely thunderstruck.
Okay, so, all right, so now you have the Seahawks game, the Cowboys game, the Jaguars game. You've got all these games now where, Tampa game. You've got these games where you've got a, track record now. This is what Teddy Bridgewater likes to do. This is what we need to do to stop that. But the Bears came out with almost the attitude, okay, there's no Kamara, so we don't have to worry about the run anymore. We'll sit on the check down routes because he's probably going to still check it down. And, we won't blitz him very much. We'll just, we'll wait for the Saints to make mistakes. And it was almost like, once again, they were not prepared to play. Another team that was not prepared to play the Saints. And I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. It just looked like the Bears were kind of in shock that the Saints were doing what they did to them. And, they almost came in with the mindset of, we're going to beat this team. We're going to win it, 26 to 2 or 26 to 3 because they're not going to be able to score on us. And lo and behold, they did. They scored a lot. And that block punt was almost a punch in the face for them. Hey, this team's here to play. Then they're just not going to roll over and die because they don't have Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees and Cook and, and so forth. So I'm just amazed by that. That I think that was the part that surprised me the most of the whole game was how the Bears just simply did not look like they came ready to play that day.
At all. And it was amazing to me just exactly how much, at least early in the game, how much this game favored that Seattle game.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts off with a team on a play on special teams, and then it just goes into absolute running roughshod over everybody.
And disregarding the bullshit 15 points they scored at the end of the game, the Saints left so many points on the field. I mean, I thought that was a terrible call. That Zach Line got called for holding on the kick return, the punt return for a touchdown. That was just a terrible call. That was horrible. I mean, that was just standard blocking. He didn't even have his hands outside the jersey, and they called that play back. And Ted Ginn dropping that touchdown pass. Was it a great throw? It was a good enough throw. You got your hands on it. You should have just grabbed it instead of trying to cradle it. And of course, Will Lutz, after he sets the record, misses 2 field goals. So there's a lot of points we left on the field that we could have scored by even more.
I was trying to think back during this game. I don't remember how long has Lutz been with New Orleans now. 4 years.
Three. This 2016 was his first year.
Okay, well,
Well,
in
four
all
seasons. Four
in all the
seasons.
time that he's been here, I don't ever remember him missing two field goals.
Not back to back.
Now, granted, one of them was 52 yards in a place they call the Windy City. So I'm willing to give him a pass on that.
That was a weird one. Because I thought he made it. When it left his foot. Of course, I'm looking at it on TV, and punts. I mean, field goals are terrible to watch on TV because it's two dimensional. So you're looking from the TV, it's going straight down the pipe. It dies all of a sudden. So I don't blame Lutz for that, and it's not like we needed those points. It was just disappointing not to get those points.
Sure.
There was three passes I thought we should have gotten and we didn't get them. Austin Carr had two of them, and again, if you want to blame Bridgewater, I could. I didn't think they were very accurate to Carr, but in the one for Ginn, probably should have let him out a little bit more to make him go out there and get it instead of trying to jump up and cradle it. It's just. But on the whole, I thought Teddy Bridgewater played a very efficient, very solid game.
Okay, this is going to kind of transition into a conversation in a little bit. Remind me of that.
Okay.
It's about Bridgewater. I wanted to get your take on that.
Okay.
But more than that, something that I tweeted following the game. Let me get your take on it as well. Okay, you're down. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
The second game of the season, and you've since taken a backup quarterback, and you've gone undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
With a few of these teams, the Saints should not have beat.
Right.
Has Sean Payton started etching his name on Coach of the Year?
I felt he should. I feel he should. Yeah, because he's done more with. I don't want to say less because you can't. That's not true. But here's the thing, for me. Instead of trying to make a round peg fit in a square hole, meaning instead of taking Teddy and say, you know what, Teddy, you got to do the things that Drew Brees does in this offense. He didn't do that. He said, we're going to throw this game plan out that we play for Brees, and we're going to do this. We're going to take what you do well, and this is how we're going to win games. And when Drew says just get completions, that is all part and parcel of this game plan. We're going to play a ball control. You're going to do check downs and short throws, occasionally pushing it deep when you think it's there. But we're just going to run a ball control offense because a punt is not a bad thing with the guy that we have punting. And with our place kicker, getting 3 points is good. We don't have to get a touchdown every time. And that's the opposite of the way Sean Payton has coached for the past 15 years here. Sean Payton's been attack, go vertical, go deep. We're going to exploit mismatches, attack, attack, attack. That's not what he's doing with this offense under Teddy Bridgewater. It's not an attack offense. It's a ball control the time of possession, and let your defense and special teams win the game. We're going to score enough points that our defense and special teams can win the game. So it's an amazing, and the defense, of course, stepped up because you can't do this if your defense is giving up points.
In my opinion, this is the first time possibly since, dare I say, 2009 season,
Mm-hmm.
that you've been able to do that and have the faith and the belief that that defense was going to be able to step up and close it for you. And the special teams were going to make those plays that you needed them to make.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time since the Super Bowl season that this team has had that to fall back on in such a way as it is now.
Well, Teddy Bridgewater could not have quarterbacked the 2015 to 2014, 2015, and 2016 Saints teams. There's just no way. I mean,
No.
not win those games. It's just not happening.
No, that was, as you just alluded to, that was a absolute balls to the wall, shoot from the hip. We're going to take it down the field.
Yeah. Lance Kelly pointed out 2013 defense. Yeah, 2013 defense was a lot like that. 2013 defense helped us become more of a ball control team versus, say, the 2011 defense, where the 2011 defense was all about pass rush and blitzing and let Brees, Sproles, Graham, Colston, Henderson, Moore, all of those guys just take off down the field and go. We're going to score 40-something points. Defense, you just need to make 2 or 3 stops and you're good. We're good. We're going to win that game. We're going to win games 45-23. It's an amazing thing that Peyton has done with this team. And I'm curious now, how does this team respond when Brees is back under center?
Because I mean, outside of your normal practice routines,
mm-hmm.
and you know that he's going to be chomping at the bit, and he's going to be ready to fall back in there just like he was the beginning of that Rams game. You know that that's going to be his expectation level for himself. Yeah. Now, how is he going to get back in there, get that timing back, get that chemistry back down? That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And that also plays into the question that I have for you after mine.
Okay. I think I know what question you're going to ask me now. But, yeah, because, Calvin's got a good point. It seems like defense took upon themselves to say this is their team. The Saints are more than just Drew Brees, not just Drew's team. And you're right. I just want to know, is this defense going to still play lights out, or are they going to loosen up a little bit with the attitude of, hey, Drew can get it back? What is disconcerting, if we're going to pick on something, what is concerning for me is we've seen 3 games where the Saints, even though the game is won and it's basically over, allowing teams just to march down the field and score. Not just march down the field, but march down the field and score. We saw that with Houston the first week of the season. We saw it last week against the Bears. It happened against the Rams too, and that's how they broke the game open. That is probably the biggest negative to take away from this defense.
I saw an interview post-game with Cam Jordan, and he was really distraught over that himself. He said that the garbage points, the garbage yardage that they were giving up at the end of the game.
Seattle's the other game I was thinking of. Seattle's the one we gave up, I think, 20-something points in the final quarter.
But he said that concerns him. He doesn't like to see that. And, for the most part, statistics are irrelevant. The only statistic that really matters is the score, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's concerning because, the old saying, once is an accident, 2 is coincidence, 3 is a trend. eventually that will catch up to you. You might
Yeah.
not have the lead you thought you had, and if you're giving up easy touchdowns late in the fourth quarter, making the game closer, i.e., the Houston game, than it really should have been, where we have to march down the field to finally end the game. That's not good. That's not good.
No. Well, I mean, this time it didn't matter, but
No,
there will be a time that comes that it does.
like I said, I got pissed off because the game was lost. Run the ball, take your ass kicking, and just get out of there. Don't call
Yeah.
timeouts. To try think you're going to get the ball back. Don't onside kick. Don't do that kind of shit. I mean, it was. I got really mad because I'm like, someone's going to get hurt in at this point a meaningless score because you're not going to score enough points. There simply is not enough time.
Yeah.
And what lo and behold, what happened? Eli Apple does get hurt.
Yeah.
And
Have we got an update on that yet, by the way?
no, and you won't until at least tomorrow. You'll probably see whether or not he's limited or practicing at all. I think the very fact they've been bringing in cornerbacks and so forth for practice, just bringing them in for workouts, I should say, probably tells me that more than likely he may miss this game. The initial diagnosis was a hyperextended knee, and at the end of the game, I think you saw him. I mean, when they were leaving the stadium, you saw him walking without crutches or without not being in a boot or a brace or anything like that. Which normally, if it's an ACL or an MCL or some sort of tear, you see a huge bandage to try and get the swelling down to do an MRI. You didn't see any of that. So he may play this Sunday. I don't know, but I think his mother, I think Annie Apple, I think that's who that is on Twitter, and she tweeted it was hyperextended. So
Yeah.
take that for what it's
Well,
worth.
I mean, it looked really bad when it happened.
Yeah. Absolutely. You see a
I mean,
cornerback.
I remember messaging you saying we just lost Apple.
Yeah. Well, and I was so pissed off because I'm like, man, this is why I didn't want this bullshit to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason why he was out there still was because PJ. I keep combining PJ Williams and P Rob. Patrick Robertson was hurt in the first quarter.
Lost him,
So
like
you had
the opening series, right?
yeah, and you have Ken Crawley was inactive, so you had no cornerback who could play outside. Apple was the only one who could play out there.
Well, your guy, Chauncey.
Oh, Gardner Johnson? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was inside. He was the inside.
He deserves accolades. He played a hell of a game.
Oh, and when they were doing the thing with the hand up in the air, I thought he was trying to give him a high five, and Cohen was ignoring him, and they're like, "No, that was a height joke." They were calling him a midget.
Well, it's kind of like radar on MASH.
Oh yeah.
I'm not making fun of your heights. When you have some heights to make fun of, I will. But
right.
Yeah,
then I think it was, I can't think of that receiver's name. Was he number 19 for the Bears? After they scored the touchdown, he starts talking shit to Chauncey Gardner Johnson, and friggin' Apple has to come up to him and point at the scoreboard like, "Hey, asshole, look at this fucking scoreboard, man. Don't be talking shit. Just you got your touchdown. Go on back home. We don't want to see you anymore." It's just.
You've got all winter to get ready for next year.
Calvin reminded me. I forgot all about that. Chauncey talked more crap than anyone. He did the same thing to Fournette when Florida played LSU.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He's been back and forth on Twitter the last several days over this.
Allen Robinson, that's who it was. You're right. That's who it was. I couldn't think of. Yeah, that was the only guy they were throwing to. It was the only guy catching anything was Allen Robinson. Um, he was kind of like their
Well,
Michael Thomas.
uh, Trubisky was so erratic. I mean, he he had wide open receivers that he'd overshoot or undershoot.
Mhm.
It was really amazing to me, given the type of day that he was having, that he didn't throw more interceptions
He,
because he was all over the page.
I don't think he could even hit. I don't think he could even hit defenders. He was so inaccurate. I mean, that's how bad he was. Uh, I mean, one of my favorite things was quotes came from when goes back to the America's game, 1968 New York Jets, and I think it was Joe Namath in one game threw 5 interceptions, and the defense is all pissed off because Namath threw 5 interceptions to lose the game against a team they should have beaten, and one of the guys who's in the America's game says, "Joe, we're wearing green next Sunday. Green." You know, just to remind you what color jerseys you'd be throwing at. So it was one of those things. It was great. Yeah, Calvin, 85 yards at 5 minutes left in the game. I couldn't remember how much time was left. I just know that yeah, they had no offense whatsoever. And when you have the announcers, and I now have ESPN Plus, I paid for that, and so I'm watching NFL primetime. Even Chris Berman and the announcers doing the game, Buck and Tom Brennan, are both saying, "This is garbage time. This is garbage yardage, garbage points." I mean,
Well, it bothers me because, I mean, it's not like we're going to win more if we shut a team out. It's not like it's going to count for more than one win. It's not that. It's the fact that it makes it look like this game was a lot closer than it actually
yeah.
was.
And I just want to shut a game down. I just want the game to end. Like, boom, it's done. It's over. You know, you're not getting any more points. We held you to 85 yards. You ended up with 125 yards for the game. But the game was basically over. You were never in it. But instead, you know, hey, this guy gets close to 100 yards. You know, they get over 200 and something yards total offense, which is still bad. But I mean, you know, it inflates all their stats. Robinson gets a cheap touchdown. It's meaningless. Um, whoo!
And
All right.
while we're on the subject of accolades,
Uh huh.
let us give a round of applause to Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I brought him up at the beginning of the show. Go ahead.
You needed someone to step up. You needed, and all we've heard the past several weeks was, when are they going to get Murray involved? He was scored more close yardage touchdowns in the red zone, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's all fine and good. That does him absolutely no good now. But we needed someone to step up and to, for lack of a better way of putting it, carry the mail since Kamara was out. And what did he do? He did something that Kamara hasn't done all season. He went over the century mark.
Yeah. Different kind of game plan, but
that
yes.
was the player that we were hoping that we would get when we acquired.
Well, it brings up the need now for the smash and dash kind of game again. You know, where you
and you never know. Having this game without Kamara in there could be the boost of confidence that Murray needs to know that, hey, I'm part of this too.
Yeah, I think I'm glad it happened, and I'm hoping that this has shown Sean that he needs to go back to the two-back kind of alignment where he's got Alvin Kamara and Murray alternating possessions, snaps, coming in for different packages, because I felt that was what was missing in the running game. Not that Kamara can't do the things he needs to do, but I just the ankle injury he got and the knee injury he got was exactly what I was afraid of when we lost Ingram and we signed Murray that they were just going to go exclusively to Kamara, and he's not Deuce McAllister. He's better than Sproles and Pierre Thomas, but he needs to have someone to alternate with him, someone to do more of that inside running where he'll take more punishment. That's why I wanted to have Murray getting more and more carries. And, I got jumped at one point early in the season because I said, listen, Murray should get more carries than Kamara as a running back, but Kamara should get more touches. And they're like, oh, why don't you want Kamara to? I said, you're looking at it from the standpoint of fantasy football. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of a 16-game season, the wear and tear a back takes. I want and Murray's not a lesser back, but a less important back to get the hell beat out of him running inside. And I want Kamara, fresh come December and January playing against those teams.
Okay. The fly on the wall. Let's get it out of the way.
Oh, wait. Well, before you get to that, just remember this. Calvin asked the question, if Dennis Allen gets a head coaching gig, would you sign Dan Quinn to be the new defensive coordinator? Because Quinn's getting fired. I mean, it's just, it's the death watch right now. Are you stunned? Are you not, Sean?
I'm sorry, I lost contact there. Repeat the question.
You lost conscious?
I'm trying to follow you, and it kind of cut out on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The question is, if Dennis Allen gets a head coaching job, which he has been a head coach with the Oakland Raiders, if he gets a head coaching job, do you hire Dan Quinn from the Atlanta Falcons to be your defensive coordinator?
That would not be the worst idea in the world, and I did hear the tail end of that. Yes, he's going to get fired. Every Monday that comes around that he's still in the city of Atlanta is a shock to me. that team is walking dead.
Well, yeah, if you watch that game against the Rams, that was.
And you think it's ugly now? You let this injury that Matt Ryan took Sunday prove to be substantial. Oh my God. It's going to be really, really ugly.
Well, this Sunday you're going to have Matt Schaub at quarterback, so you know what Matt Schaub's reputation is, right? He's Mr. Pick Six. He averages a pick six a game, so that's going to happen. So let's just say it's a high ankle.
If Dennis Allen did get that type of opportunity, that it wouldn't be until after the season is over.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you're looking at about 5 teams right now. I'm thinking that are probably looking for head coaches. Washington already is going to be looking for one. Atlanta, Cincinnati. No, they just hired this guy in Cincinnati, so I don't know about him. The Jets. I think Adam Gase gets fired. I really do. I think they made a mistake hiring him.
Yes.
Does Flores survive in Miami? Who knows? They are tanking, so he probably survives. But I think Anthony Lynn out there in not San Diego, Los Angeles, the Chargers. I think Anthony Lynn gets fired because that team is way too talented to be losing the way they're losing.
Yeah, and there's talk already in Cleveland of Kitchens as well.
Well, again, that team is too talented.
To be honest with you, I tend to believe with what the people are saying as well.
Yeah.
When you have an offense that has Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, there's absolutely no excuse for not putting points.
It's the way they're losing, too. It's a lack of discipline, stupid penalties. They don't seem to have a coherent offensive philosophy. Mayfield is throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, and he's just throwing the ball willy nilly. It's the team looks totally out of control. So I like the idea. What back up a little bit. Part of Atlanta's problem is their defense, and Quinn is the defensive coordinator. But he assembled a defense that is not a good defense. I mean, he did not put together a good defense, and you can blame the GM.
It's a good defense if everybody is healthy.
It is, but he assembled small guys, and that's Thomas Dimitroff, the general manager there too. He built that team to be small and fast, and what happened to him was they're running against teams that can run the football and are allowed to run the football because the Atlanta Falcons offense isn't producing. That offense is producing now in San Francisco, with the Niners. So you have those two factors working against Quinn because that defense was designed just to rush the passer. And as much as I want Drew Brees to come back against Atlanta, throw for over 400 yards and 5 touchdown passes, I really think they're going to get a heavy dose of the run because they just can't stop the run. I mean, they really can't do anything. And it'll be fun to watch. I'm interested. If Allen gets a head coaching opportunity, I think he takes it. So it would be interesting to see if the Saints would go into Quinn.
I would say it depends on how this season turns out.
Okay, fair enough.
I would think that if you can go out on top with a Super Bowl championship, that's about all that you're going to be able to do here. If it's another, God forbid, like the last 2 years,
don't say it. That's my fear.
The motivation to get it right could prevent him from leaving.
Yeah, I hear you. And what team offers him the opportunity? I mean, I wouldn't take the Washington job. There's no way.
No.
You're not going to turn. Not with that ownership. Not with Bruce Allen as general manager. You're not going to turn that team around. I don't care who you put over there.
No.
And
you're talking about a 5-year plan.
Hey, you had
even make that team competitive.
Yeah, you had Urban Meyer talking last week about being interested in the Dallas Cowboys job. So the Dallas Cowboys are always out there as a potential job. I think I've seen Jason.
For all his flaws, Jerry Jones does not like having turnover at the head coaching position.
Not when he's got his puppet. No, he doesn't mind turnover when he's got somebody with a spine that gets tired of his shit. I mean, Jerry Jones wants to get all the credit for putting together a Super Bowl team. That's why Jimmy Johnson got fired. That's why, what was his name? The bootlegger who took his place from Oklahoma.
Barry Switzer.
Barry Switzer, yeah. Bootlegger's Son. That was the name of his book. That's why Switzer got the job, because Switzer didn't mind sharing the spotlight with Jones. It's why Wade Phillips was gone. It's why Bill Parcells left. I mean, he can't handle those kind of personalities. He can handle, what the hell was that offensive line coach they had? That was the coach for them for a while. Not Sperano.
Golly.
God, I can picture him too. He was the offensive line coach for the Cowboys under Jimmy Johnson, and became head coach of the team. But anyway, yeah, those are the kind of guys he can handle as head coach. He can, and what's his name fits right into it. Little redheaded stepchild. He fits right into it. Jason Garrett. Yeah. Um, yeah, I feel sorry for whatever quarterback gets drafted by Miami, and it looks more and more like it's going to be Tua. You know, you've got some delusional LSU fans. Oh, did I say that out loud? I shouldn't say that out loud. You have some LSU fans who think now Joe Burrow can go number one overall. Um, Guys, I mean, listen, he's having an incredible season, but Tua's got the better resume. He's put it together longer. Um, you see Jalen Hurts doing what he's doing in Oklahoma. There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out in this draft, and
There's a lot of good college quarterbacks
yes.
coming out.
So let's just. He's having an incredible season, but don't be surprised if he slides on draft day. And it's a long, long way for draft day. But,
Yeah.
Don't have him in the Heisman Trophy yet. Don't have him going in the top 5 yet. Let's just wait and see. Remember, workout warriors in February always shoot up the board. There's so many things that happen between now and then. It's a long way from the draft. So, Calvin, you're speaking the truth about those LSU fans.
Well, the sad thing, and people that know me know that I support LSU. I'm not a diehard piss and purple kind of guy. But, they're from Louisiana, so I support them. And they get really, really mad at me when I bring up the point that everything that LSU has done this year is going to be for nothing and quickly forgotten if they don't beat Alabama. It's sad, but it's true.
Well, because you play in the SEC West with Alabama. It's almost like you almost want to put Alabama in the SEC East. Just so you can have the big showdown in the SEC championship game. Because you're right. LSU's entire season, where they go, all depends on what happens against Alabama. Because if they lose to Alabama, that knocks them back probably out of the playoff race. Don't freak out. But given that,
because the scheduling doesn't allow for you to make any ground up.
Right. Because it's when you lose to Alabama. And I know that this is the third ranked team they're going to play this season. I know all that. But what I'm saying is you're going to get Clemson in there. You're going to get Oklahoma in there. So that's 2 of them. You're probably going to get Ohio State in there again. Unless Ohio State loses to Wisconsin or Penn State. Because I'm not counting. There's no way I'm counting. They're not losing to Michigan. That's just not happening. So
Michigan could lose an inter-squad game.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so you got those 3 teams in who are pretty much guaranteed to be in there. So losing to Alabama keeps LSU out. Now, if they beat Alabama, then it all changes. Now LSU's in the driver's seat. LSU has a great chance of going into the title game. Yes, I know the conspiracy theories going back to 2011. If LSU loses somehow the SEC championship game, or Ohio State loses, or Oklahoma's probably not going to lose, but Ohio State loses, there's a possibility Alabama and LSU both in the playoffs. But we'll just forget about that for now. Your point. Their whole season depends on whether or not they beat Alabama. And, yeah, it's right. Alabama is LSU's national championship game. I mean, that's the way it has to be. I mean, you've lost 7 years in a row to them, going back to the SEC, going back to the Sugar Bowl, the title game in 2011, the game that a lot of LSU fans feel like should never have happened. It should have been Oklahoma State. Yes. Anyway, we've kind of...
Are we ready to piss some people off?
What? How are we going to piss them off? You going to ask me that
Okay.
question?
All right. You have Teddy Bridgewater,
Mm-hmm.
who has stepped in and admirably guided the ship to what is thus far 5-0, right?
Right.
Okay.
6-1
You have
record. So yeah.
you have Drew Brees coming back, uh, and obviously you're not going to keep a healthy Drew Brees on the sideline. I've had several people approach me about this scenario, and that's the reason that I wanted to get your take on it as well. Um, you have Arizona this week at home, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have a bye week. Would you trade Teddy Bridgewater during the bye week? And I'll give you my answer after I hear yours. While his stock is at its apex.
Here's the problem you have with trading him. You take a $6 million cap hit by trading him because you've guaranteed his contract. The 7 point whatever $1 million, you guarantee that. Okay? Secondly, you're going to trade him in mid-season to whom? Someone like the Broncos, maybe? Someone like uh, I don't. Most of the teams have quarterback problems on in the playoff race. So you know his draft stock. I mean his trade value is extremely high. Plus he's under a 1 year deal. He's a free agent next year. You almost want to try and trade him um, just before when they open that trading window, just before the end of the contracts start expiring, kind of like what they did with Alex Smith, kind of like what they did, some of the other players at early trading before it's officially announced. That's really when you can trade him. But that's only if you've got a team that feels like I can't afford for him to go out as a free agent and we get in a bidding war. I want him now, and I want to put a deal together with him now. I don't want him to ever hit the market. So that's the only time I can really see value. I cannot see trading him during the season. I just got into a long argument with somebody about this very thing too.
Well, my answer is no, you do not.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, you're not going to know the status of Brees completely until you get on the field.
Yeah.
Because this may be a very short-lived comeback.
Right.
And if you ship out Teddy, you have only Taysom behind him. And we know that Taysom plays a great and vast role in the offense, and that completely changes that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, most of the people that have approached me with this are under the false illusion that you're going to gain some sort of windfall by dealing him. I think the way that I answered it was if you're talking in terms of picks, fourth round pick
Mm-hmm.
would be the absolute ceiling. Nobody is going to break the bank to sign Bridgewater. They're just not going to do it.
I mean, you're looking at a team like Denver, maybe Tampa. Are you trading him mid-season to a division rival? No.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the kind of teams you're talking about, and it's going to just. There's so many different factors to involved in this. It's just not trading him mid-season. Just does not work. Usually, if you're going to make a trade like that, you're trading the old guy. The injured guy, the guy, in this case, we would be trading Brees because we're confident that Bridgewater could take over. And, there's so many different factors.
That just made my chest hurt. Don't say
I know. I know. And the very fact that the Saints have no quarterbacks under contract for next year is another reason why you just don't do that. Because Bridgewater has to be your fallback option if for some reason, you're not bringing Brees back, whether Brees retires or whether or not you can't afford him anymore and he wants to keep playing. Then you are negotiating, kind of like what you did with Ingram. You want Ingram, but he comes back with too high of a salary, and you go, you know what? I got Bridgewater right here. I'll just go straight to him, and I'll pay him what I want to pay. When I want to pay you, that's the issue you have there. So that's the other reason why I can't see that happening. I thought you were going to ask.
I don't think that it would be. You're not going to get enough from anybody for Teddy Bridgewater to justify a move at this point. You're just not going to do it.
It's salary cap issues. It's not having any other quarterbacks in the contract. It's trading him to teams that are not competitive because you're not going to send him to, let's just say, for example, you're not going to send him to Buffalo, for example, who Buffalo has a chance of competing for a playoff spot. You're not going to trade him to Philadelphia, because Wentz isn't playing well. So that's where your problems are. Who do you trade him to? Trade him to Chicago? You don't want to play the Bears in the playoffs with him, Bridgewater under center now instead of Trubisky. So that's why none of that would work. So the big thing, what's that? Oh, I was gonna say the big thing though right now is Bridgewater did what you wanted him to do, and a lot of them have been saying this in the chat, and I agree. Let him start this Sunday against the Cardinals. I'd even rest Alvin Kamara one more week, and let him rest over the bye. Maybe Cook can play in this game, don't know. But, just play this one last game, and then have everybody rest and recover over the bye. Then you come back. I mean, the slate of games you've got after that, you've got, 3 divisional games in a row. Atlanta, at Tampa, and Carolina now, who Carolina's not going to start Cam Newton. They're going to keep Kyle Allen in there. So, we're talking about backups and how well backups are playing. Kyle Allen may have stolen Cam Newton's job, and we may see Cam Newton in Washington next year. Who knows? But you got 4 divisional games back to back to back. You've got Atlanta at home, at Tampa, home for Carolina, Thanksgiving night against Atlanta in Atlanta. Then the showdown, I think, for the number 1 seed in the playoffs, the 49ers coming here first weekend of December. Oh my God, it's December already. The surprising Colts. Then you go at Tennessee, which who knows what that dumpster fire is going to look like, Christmas week. And then 2 days before New Year's, you go to Carolina to finish out the season. And that may be the difference between, Carolina making the playoffs as the number 5 seed or number 6 seed. Because I'm assuming we're winning the division. That's just me.
Yeah. I think that if there is a team that could push us, it would be Carolina.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they will have the complete body of work that will come week 17.
Well, if we lose at home to Carolina, then that game suddenly becomes possibly be for the division. But I think we win that game. Honestly, I think for the first... No, I'm not saying it. Never mind. Forget
Yeah.
it. Forget it. I'm not saying it. It's never happened in the NFC South. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. Don't don't jinx.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. Yeah, Calvin. Rest
Oh,
Kamara, Brees, Eli Apple, then get ready for the divisional stretch. You have to. I mean, that's what you've got to do. You've got to. You've got 5 divisional games all back to back to back. So these are the games that count. You know, we need Brees ready to roll. We need that defense ready to roll. We need Alvin Kamara ready to roll. So yeah, those are the games that matter. If you lose the Cardinals game, it's not the end of the world. It just makes that Carolina game all the more important. And you got to hope the 49ers lose at some point. But I think we can beat. I think we can beat Arizona. I really do, especially at home.
yes.
All right, um, Sean.
Yes.
As usual, I never pay the bills when I start the show before you come on. So why don't you go ahead and pay the bills real quick?
All right. We want to thank you guys for joining us tonight on Under the Dome. Invite you to come back every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. We've got some big things in the works right now that we should be excited to get to share with you guys sometime in the near future. We want to thank someone who, for the entire 3-year run that we've had, has he's been one of the unofficial members of Under the Dome, and he has worked so hard for so long and asked nothing in return. Great guy, and I'm honored to consider him a friend, and that's John Pinto.
Yep,
Thank you,
absolutely.
John. You're an indispensable part of the crew here. We want to invite you to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. Alan is at 79 Saints, and I'm at Drew's Dad 3721. We're this past week I did a poll to see who gets the game ball this week, and it was overwhelmingly the New Orleans Saints offensive line that
Oh
got it.
yeah.
Let's see, what else did I forget? Follow us on YouTube,
Facebook.
iTunes.
Yep.
Did I get that already?
I think so. Facebook, Under the Dome
And
podcast.
on Facebook as well.
I still
Let
do
us know
my.
what you like, what you didn't like, what you want more of, and what you want less of.
I,
And more than anything, we thank you guys, because without you, there is no us. We really love doing this show and bringing you guys some insight and some stupidity from time to time, but we'll let you guys decipher which is which.
well, I certainly like seeing the live chat. It's a lot more interesting to see what people are saying on the chat. And I got to hold the speaker up in my hand so Sean can be heard better. But my big thing too is I do the good, bad, and ugly after every game. I enjoy doing it. It became one of those things where I was just posting it on my wall, and more people wanted to read my insane ramblings, because this is all crap I say to the TV, because I watch the games by myself at home. My wife leaves because she doesn't need to hear that level of profanity. It sounds like I got Tourette sometimes. It really does, because I'm like, yeah, fuck. I mean, it just sudden bursts of profanity. And she also says I need to stop saying touchdown, because every time I say touchdown, they get stopped just short of the goal line, or the pass is not complete. So I got to stop saying that now. But yeah, this is just stuff I've always said to myself and my captive audience that I call my family. So now I just put it out as a social media post, and a lot of people enjoy it. I hope you guys read it. I try and make it funny, because I know you saw the game, and I know I'm not really telling you anything you don't know already, but I try and make it entertaining as best I can, and kind of tell a story about what I thought was good, what I thought was bad, and I have a lot of fun with the ugly, especially when we win. When we lose, the ugly is a lot more serious, but when we win, the ugly is going to always be a joke. I try and make it a joke. And I was not going to go for the obvious bathroom joke with that thing that Trubisky had on his face, but it involves the word Sanchez, and we'll just leave it at that. I mean, and that's such an easy joke. So I went with the $6 Million Man joke. That was my favorite show when I was growing up, and I'm just revealed my age. I know that by even talking about that show, but
Google Lee Majors.
oh man, I'm just the bionic sound effects. I've always wanted to take. I don't have the technology. I don't have the capability, but I want to take Drew Brees throwing the football and just superimposing or putting this bionic sound effects, like when he throws a deep pass, that and then making that whistle sound as the football goes sailing through the air, the whole bit. Because I've always felt that because Drew Brees has become a better quarterback, apparently because of his shoulder surgery, he's become a more accurate, somewhat stronger arm even, especially in those early years. And then 2009 or 2011, I used to call Dr. William Andrews Dr. Rudy Wells because, I felt he gave him a bionic arm because he was better than he was before. Better, faster, and stronger. I don't know if we can beat the Cards convincingly, Chad, but I think we can beat them. That Kyler Murray kid, he's kind of like Trubisky from the standpoint of that fourth quarter really turns him on. He starts playing really, really well. But I think if we can shut down the run and put a lot of pressure on Murray, keep him in the pocket, make it hard for him to see because he's short. So he's got to do a lot of the same things Drew has to do. Very deep drop, has to roll out outside the pocket to be able to see over those linemen, to see downfield. We can keep him in that pocket and we don't have to pressure, we don't have to sack him, but just keep him where he cannot see. He's going to eventually go down on his own because he's not going to be able to run out of there. And it'll be a lot of coverage sacks. So, we'll see. We'll see. I think the dome's going to be insane anyway. So, hey, and they'll probably wear white and white again. I know fans are wondering why, but you can only wear the color rush one more time. And I think they're saving that for Thanksgiving night, but we'll see. But they can only wear the color rush one more time this season. And I think Sean Payton's just superstitious. We're winning wearing white and white. Let's keep wearing it until we lose. So, we'll see.
Thank you guys so much for being with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And, yeah, I think they can shut down Edmonds. I mean, I know he's from Fordham. And Calvin Johnson's been hurt. Not Calvin Johnson. I know who the running back is. I'm sorry. I just lost his first name, but I think they could. David? Is it Dave Johnson?
I think so.
Okay, I think it is too. I just didn't want to say it because I didn't want to butcher his name twice. But I think we can shut down. This defense can shut down the run. I don't care who it is. They can shut down the run. The big thing is putting it all on Murray's shoulders, but keeping him in that pocket where he cannot drop back, he can't run around, he can't see down the field. And we can wear that Cardinals defense out. So, anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Yes, it is David. Okay, thank you. Good. I just did not want to butcher his name twice. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.